Hi guys, welcome back to the next episode of the new launch project analysis. And today we are talking about Vela Bay. So Vela Bay is easily the talk of the town development in East Coast today. But sea view at 3000 PSF or sea of regrets. So yes, the developer has cleverly designed the project such that more than 70% of the units are facing the sea. But is this worth paying 3000 PSF? Is there room for growth or will you be overpaying? So let's find out. Before we dive into this sea, please remember to like, share and subscribe. So as usual, how we'll be doing this is we will be going through the quick facts of the project, location, site plan, floor plan, and then we will deep dive into the price analysis to see whether this pricing makes sense, ranking of the development for investors and for own stayers, and then why I will buy this project, and also 3 reasons why I will not buy this project. Okay, so let's start with the quick facts. So this developer is SingHaiyi, and SingHaiyi has developed projects such as Grand Diamond, Sora, Park Clementes, and then we have 2 blocks in this development. Okay, the site area is at about 10,000 square meters and total GFA is about 47,000. So we are looking at a vacant possession of about December 2031. Car park lots at 254, and to note that the number of units is 515 residential units. So just like Tengah Garden Residences, this is Bayshore is a Car-Lite zone. So nowadays the car park allocation is about 50 to 60% of the total number of units. So looking at the master plan for the location, so this is where Vela Bay is. Okay, so beside Vela Bay there's another empty plot of land which is slated for residential. So Vela Bay is situated right next to the Bayshore MRT. In fact, when you come out from the side door, right, the side gate, once you go down it will be the control station already. So it's like within 2 minutes to the MRT station instead of like walking, you know, like a distance to the control station. Then in this entire new Bayshore area, there are actually future school coming up. Now we are within 1 kilometer to Temasek Primary School, which is here. Then also we have the SAFRA coming up, a brand new SAFRA, which is like one of the largest SAFRA in Singapore. And then this blue color plot here is the integrated transport hub for this area. So you have 22,500 square meter of malls and then bus interchange. So again, another new area transformation where you have connectivity. Then also there is a small linear park just right below from Vela Bay. So if you don't want to go to the main ECP, you actually can come to this park. Again, this new area, there will be a new flyover around here that leads you straight to ECP, to either the city or to Changi. Okay, so looking at the site plan, right? So in this development, we have from 1 bedroom plus study all the way to penthouses. There are only 2 penthouses. If not, it will be the 5 bedrooms. So there is 3 side gates in this development. So one side gate obviously goes to the MRT station. It is sheltered and then brings you to the Bayshore MRT. Once you go down, it will be the MRT station. The other one brings you to the back at the Bayshore area, and another one is at the site where the swimming pool is, that brings you to the Bayshore Walk. Okay, so facilities wise, you have the pool, gym, tennis court, and then the developments that are not facing the sea, you will be looking at the plot beside, which is still empty at the moment, or the Bayshore at the back of the area. And about the elevation of the project, so from the ground all the way to the first unit, right, you are at 16.6 meters high, and from the ground to the facilities, which is the E deck, it's about 4 meters. So don't have to worry about privacy issues where people walking by can see residents using facilities. Before we go on to the unit mix, let's look at some of the artist impression of this development. Okay, so first picture that we see is actually the entrance for Vela Bay. Okay, then from this picture you can see the elevation is actually quite high up, and then follow on you will see this is a view from the pool. You can see that there are a lot of curves factored in because the architecture of the building is such to mimic, like, you know, the sailing yacht, and also just like bringing the sea into this development. Then the next picture that we see is basically the 2 blocks being 31 stories, and then from this picture, right, you can actually see the 2 penthouses at the top floor. So a total of 515 units ranging from 1 bedroom where only stands about 5% of the total number of units at 27 units, and then all the way to 2 bedrooms we have 197, 3 bedrooms we have 175, 4 bedroom at 88 units, and then 5 bedrooms at 26 units, which is 1 stack, and then you have 2 penthouses. The penthouses are also 5 bedrooms. Okay, so let's look at the floor plan. So we start off with 1 bed plus study, which is at stack 4. This is at 484 square feet. So as you come in, there is a study on the left hand side. This study is good because you can enclose it. It can become a small room, you can be a helper's room, it can be a storeroom, or it can also serve as a study. Then as you come in, as usual, one bedroom, you will definitely get the galley kitchen. Then the bathroom connecting to the master bedroom and has a second door that leads to the living room as well. So for a harmonized layout at 484 square feet, I would say this is a very decent 1 plus study. And the most important thing is this 1 plus study entire stack, as long as you are above developers advice 11th floor, you will be able to see the sea view. So moving on to 2 bed 1 bath at 592 square feet, we have 3 different layouts, but they are pretty much the same. Only layout C, you have the dining, like a little bit of space where you can jut in your dining. Then in terms of the facing wise, stack 6, which is type C, will be the most expensive because that one you get the full sea facing, okay? Then followed by stack 11, which is type A, which is at the second block. So you also get the sea facing, but do note that the second block, okay, you do see the next plot of land beside, and because we do not know what is at the next plot of land yet, so you may or may not be permanent view, okay? Then the other stack for the 2 plus 1 will be the ones that's facing the back, which is at stack 17, which will be facing Bayshore Drive. So this is the only stack of 2 bed 1 bath that does not get the sea view. Okay, so for the 2 bed premium, which is the 2 bed 2 bath, okay, we have 4 different layouts. So this is at 689 square feet and also 678 square feet. Okay, so for layout Y, stack 8 and 16, which is type A and B, is an open concept kitchen, and then C and D, which is stack 14 and 7, you have a tucked-in kitchen. Stack 8 and 7 will most likely be the most popular because they have the sea view, and also followed by stack 14, and then lastly will be stack 16, which is facing Bayshore Drive again. Okay, so if you look at stack 8, right, although the kitchen is actually open concept, but you have a 3.4 meter wall-to-wall distance, so you can either add a partition or you can also put in an island if you just like open concept kitchen. So in terms of the two differences between stack 8 and stack 7, although they are pretty much the same facing, I personally don't think that there will be a huge preference or popularity on this. It's basically which one will go first. 689 stack 8, which is a show flat layout. Usually show flat layout sells out really fast. Okay, also even though this is open concept kitchen. Then the stack 7 will be more traditional layout where it is a tucked-in kitchen, so that one should move very fast as well. So moving on to the 3 bedroom compact, we have 3 different layouts respectively at 883 and 893 square feet. So the only sea facing 3 bedroom compact is actually in stack 12, and this is at the 883 square feet. However, the kitchen is also open concept kitchen, but the wall-to-wall distance is very good. It's at 4.3, so you can easily enclose this kitchen if you want, or again add an island. It would be actually quite nice. Then the difference between this and the other 2 layout basically would be mostly on the kitchen side. So the other 2 layout you have enclosable kitchens, but you do not get the sea view. Also, the other 2 layouts is actually not a dumbbell layout, unlike stack 12 where you have the bedroom 3 at one side. Okay, so we'll move on to the 3 bed premium, which is all 3 layouts at 1033 square feet. So you have stack 1, stack 3 and stack 13. So stack 1, you will be looking at Bayshore Road, which is looking towards Costa del Sol. And then for stack 3 and 13, stack 3 will be the most premium because you are like closest to the entrance, so that one you will get full sea view, and then followed by stack 13, which you get the pool view, and then you will get the sea view again because of the location of the unit, right? This may not be 100%. So the layout wise, the 3 layouts are pretty much the same, just compared to the compact, you have your own WC and then a home shelter. So for the 4 bedroom compact, which is at 1173 square feet, which means that 3 of the common rooms will share 1 bathroom. This will be 2 layouts, and they will be respectively at stack 15 and stack 9. The stack 9 one will go first because they're just closer and you get a full view. From stack 15 and stack 9, you have to take note that both are west facing, but if you want to get the sea view in this corner, then you have no choice but to face west. Okay, 4 bed private lift. This is the bigger 4 bedroom at 1378 2,008 square feet. So all of the rooms have connecting bathroom, but you have to take note that the master bedroom 3, bedroom 4, you do get the sea view. But for bedroom 2, which is the room at the back, you will be facing Bayshore Drive, so that room doesn't get the sea view. And also again, because this is situated at the block that is behind, right, that second block, there is no guarantee that this is permanent sea view because it really depends on how the next plot is being built. Then the 5 bedroom with private lift, the size is very good. This is at 1,582 square feet, and this is also the show flat layout. However, do note that for these bedrooms, right, there are actually 2 bedrooms, bedroom 4 and bedroom 3, that will be sharing the bath 3. And then for the junior master, at the far end of the unit, that one you have a attached bathroom, but that bathroom has no windows. Also for bedroom 5, which also is a junior master lah actually, but it's just that it's not stated on the floor plan. That also has an attached bathroom, but that bathroom also doesn't have a window. So do note that for the 5 bedrooms, right, all of the, apart from the master bathroom, all of the other bathrooms have no windows. So the good thing for these 5 bedrooms is that all of the bedrooms get the sea view. Okay, so there are only 2 penthouses. Penthouse 1 is 3105 at 1765 square feet. So again, 5 bedrooms is very similar to the 5 bedroom layout, except that the living and the dining, right, you get a 4.5 meter ceiling height. And also the common bathrooms, bathroom 3 and then the bedroom 5 bathroom and the junior master bathroom have no windows. Okay, but all of the rooms get the sea view. Then as for the other penthouse 3110, you will notice that one of the bedroom is being moved to the front, as in the left hand side of the unit, which is beside the junior master. Okay, the reason for doing this, right, is again so that all of the bedrooms actually get the sea view. Then you have again a 4.5 ceiling height for the living and the dining area. Okay, now we come to the most important part, which is on pricing. So we are looking at about 2,008 to 3,000 PSF. I know 3,000 may sound very shocking, and to be honest, when I heard this in 2025, I was also taken aback. But however, as more and more land sale took place, and even with the recent transaction of the nearby resale developments, this pricing actually started to make sense. So if we look at the nearby resale, right, of course we have to look at our direct neighbor, which is Costa del Sol, since it's right beside Vela Bay. So this is a pretty old project. It's launched in 1997, TOP 2024, and your balance lease is about 70 years left. Okay, so if we bring forward and prorate to a today launch, which is at average of 2,100, it is being sold now. So we divided by the remaining lease of 70 years times 99 years, right? You will come out to be 2,970 PSF, and then bring in the harmonization 6 to 7%, it comes out to be 3,177 PSF. So what does this mean? Basically, this works out that if this old project becomes a new project, this is the PSF it will be commanding. So this helps us determine whether Vela Bay is at a price that is correct or not. So 3,177 PSF, this basically just translates to if you get something at Vela Bay under this price, right, it is actually considered a good buy. So also in terms of quantum wise, a 2-bedroom at Costa del Sol just transacted at 1.68 mil. Okay, so if Vela Bay, a 2-bedroom at 689 square feet, if we take say 2,800 PSF, and then the quantum will be 1.9 mil. Okay, so 1.9 mil for a brand new, 1.68 mil for something that has 70 years left. Okay, the difference is 220,000. So when we factor in renovation costs for a resale unit coupled with a lease that is more than 25 years gap, it's actually very reasonable for a 220k gap. So in terms of that, the Vela Bay doesn't seem like it's overpriced. Okay, even in terms of like HDB comparison, you know, if you compare a project that has MOP then versus something that is older, a HDB flat, right, we will easily look at like a 200k difference. So for private, this is definitely, I would say, okay gap to factor in. Then if we move on to a newer project, okay, which has more sea view units, because Costa del Sol doesn't have a lot of units that actually have sea view. So if we look at Seaside Residences, which is a 2016 project, and the average pricing in Seaside Residences now is actually at 2,700 PSF divided by the remaining lease, which is 89, times by 99 years, we will be looking at 3,000 PSF. Then times by 1.07% to the harmonization, it comes out to be 3,213. So you can see when we use a newer development, say Seaside, right, versus an older development, say Costa del Sol, the PSF works out to be about the same, 3,001 to 3,002. So again, this helps us to determine that Vela Bay, as long as you can get something below this range, it is actually safe to proceed, especially if you can get a sea view. Okay, so looking at Bedok Rise GLS, which was sold at 1330 PSF PPR, so launch price will probably be looking at about 3,000 PSF. Okay, so the maximum height for this development is actually at 12-story high. Okay, and not forgetting that it's actually facing MRT track. Okay, versus whereby Vela Bay is actually underground MRT. Then compared to Tanjong Rhu GLS, okay, this was sold at 1455 PSF PPR. So that means this will likely be launching at about 3,200 PSF. Why? Because this is exactly the same GLS price, sold price as River Modern at 1420, and River Modern actually launched at about 3,200 PSF. Then the last plot that I'll talk about, which is the one that's nearest to Vela Bay, which is the Bayshore Integrated Transport Hub land, that one will likely be around 24 stories, a little bit lower than Vela Bay, and also that has no sea view. That will likely just be the landed view at the Bayshore area. Okay, but being an integrated transport hub, right, so developers have to build like interchange, and this will definitely be priced in as well. And integrated transport hub generally are being priced at 20 to 25%, minimally higher than a standard condo. Okay, so you can see that all these future upcoming launches, right, are already hitting 3,000, 3,200, 3,300 PSF, yet they do not have sea view, they are not directly accessible to East Coast Park. So in terms of all this that's upcoming, and then when we look at all just now the resale developments, we can see that in fact what we think that is actually a shocking 3,000 PSF price tag, right, is actually very acceptable now. Okay, so going back to the site plan to just give a quick summary of the prices that we are expecting to launch at. So if we look at the back of the condo, the Bayshore Drive, that site, right, like the stacks 16, 17, 18, where you don't get the sea view, you just get the Bayshore Drive view, then I think that will be starting from about 2,600 PSF, and then the high floor may end around 2,800. And then the ones that is also facing the back, which is stack 1 and 2, those I would say it probably will go up to about 2,900 PSF. That should be a little bit higher because you do enjoy the pool view even at the lower floor. Then followed by say stack 15, 14, 13, which is at the site, at the lower floor one is actually at the MRT site. Then also you don't get the sea view if you are below 11th floor. Okay, so and then as you go to the mid floor, we'll be looking at about 2,800 to 2,900 PSF, and then the higher floor is where we will actually hit the 3,000 PSF, because this one you do get the sea view. Then the direct facing ones, which is stack 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, those at the low floor, again no sea view. Okay, you get 2,800 PSF, around that range. Then maybe 10 to the 20th floor, we'll be looking at about 2,900, and then from the 20th floor onwards, we'll be touching about 3,100 PSF. Then the stack 3, stack 4, that site, which is stack 3 is the one that you get the full sea view. So I would say again, the ones that you get the sea view, you will definitely be at 3,100 over PSF. The low floor, which is at the entrance, you may get a little bit lower, maybe at 2,008. Then for the one that is inside facing at the second block at stack 10, 11, 12, it will be slightly cheaper a bit for the lower floor, but don't forget that you do get the pool view of the 50 meters pool. Okay, so we'll be starting at maybe about 2,700 or high 2,700. Then the high floor, again, you will definitely hit 3,000 and above 3,000, close to 3,001, because that side you do get the sea view as of now. Okay, so now back to the ranking for investors. I would give it 4 stars out of 5, okay, because it checked my boxes for the entry price for the area is okay, easy exit, there will be a high resale demand as per like most of the D15, 16 projects, there's always a very high resale demand. So and then because of the good tenant base, this is a very good MRT line at Thomson-East Coast Line, where you're only a few stops to Changi Airport, and then with T5 coming up, which is huge, which is basically the size of like the T1, 2, 3, 4, you get a very good tenant base. And anyway, in the east side, we have a lot of tenants who prefer to stay in the east just because they travel a lot. Okay, so I think for investors, I would give it a 4 out of 5. And why not 5 out of 5? Because I feel that as investment, right, at 2,800, 3,000 PSF, I feel that it's a little bit high, and there are other projects that you can get where you can get bigger sizes with this same quantum. Then for own stay wise, I'm actually ranking it higher at 4.5 out of 5, just because this is really convenient. East Coast didn't used to be so convenient when I was staying there. There was no Thomson-East Coast Line, and definitely we don't have like this Bayshore area where you have, you know, integrated transport hub and everything. But I think this is pretty much a game changer, and also the layout is very good and practical. Even though they did try to design design the facade, you know, with all the curves and everything, right? The good thing is that this doesn't translate into the internal space. So internally, it's all squarish, regular layout, which is really good. Then again, it shares the same point as the good MRT line. Okay, 3 reasons why I will buy this place. One is because of the lifestyle there, because of the nature, the East Coast Park, and then the sea view. Okay, so if you are somebody who really likes this kind of lifestyle, then the East is ready for you, and especially this condo. Then also, why I will buy this place, the MRT, the convenience, and also thirdly, the most important one is there is no other comparison. In fact, in D15 and 16, if you are looking for a brand new development, okay, D15 and 16, you only have like Vecna House, which is not comparable, it's a low-rise development. And then the other one with Sea View is Maya Blue, but the Sea View units have been sold out. And then Maya Blue is also a freehold development, so in terms of quantum-wise, it is not comparable to a 99-year development. So if you are looking for something new in the area with the park, with the sea view, and with an updated layout, I would say there is really no comparison at this moment. Okay, then why I wouldn't buy? Because of the highway. But in Singapore, this is a trade-off. If you want to face the sea, unless you're in Sentosa, if not, you will definitely have to face one of the highway, West Coast Highway, East Coast Highway. So if the sea view is something that you die for, then another thing is the 50% car park ratio. For Car-Lite zones, this is something that is going to be the norm and common going forward. However, I have my reservation on this, especially for the east side, because a lot of people who stays in the east, they are actually quite used to having cars, I would say. Yeah, and then for this Bayshore area, being a Car-Lite zone, but it's only restricted to Bayshore, you see. Yeah, but then again, the MRT line is quite convenient, so maybe yes, you may be able to live without a car. Then the third reason why I wouldn't buy this, it really depends on the price gap. Okay, so I cannot answer you now. I can only see the launch price because I need to see what is the gap between the units that don't have the sea view versus the one with the sea view. If the sea view, and I am a sucker for sea view, and I am willing to pay $3,100 PSF for a sea view, okay, unblocked sea view, then I need to see what are the non-sea view launching at. Because if in Vela Bay, if I don't have sea view, then basically what am I paying for? So, but if the gap is like, you know, pretty significant, then I think we should be good. So if you are thinking about Vela Bay, but then you don't have like an action plan in mind, you don't know which unit to get, and then you don't know whether the sea facing or not the sea facing, of course it depends on your ballot number, but you have to do your preparation first, right? Yeah, so then do contact me for a one-on-one consultation, and also a lot of you have actually contacted me about my previous analysis and also about other projects and the transformation in Singapore. But please feel free to contact me, and my number is below. And please remember to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you at the next video.